A lot of times when something is considered to be bipartisan, meaning both Democrats and Republicans support it, you'll hear people in the general public make this assumption of like, well, that must be a really good thing because these very contrasting opposing sides, the left and right, are coming together on this one item. So that must mean that it's like really good and people across the board should like it. When in actuality, it typically means they're teaming up to screw you over. And that's true whether they're teaming up to pass a piece of legislation or to oppose it. And I have an example for you from just this week. Both the Democrat governor of North Carolina, Josh Stein, and the Republican governor of Ohio, Mike DeWine, vetoed a piece of popular legislation called the REINS Act over the past couple of days. Now, the REINS Act has been passed in nearly a quarter of all states thus far. It's a really common sense piece of legislation that says, get this, the people you elect as your lawmakers should be the ones that make the laws you have to live under. Groundbreaking, I know. Since the 1980s, the number of rules and regulations implemented by unelected bureaucrats has been like 4 times more than the number of laws actually passed. So arguably, none of us have been living in a representative government for some time. We have no ability to petition, to lobby, or to vote people out when they do things we don't like, when it's not even the lawmakers who are mostly making the rules. The REINS Act doesn't prevent unelected bureaucrats from making rules and regulations. I wish. All it does is it says if those rules and regulations have a significant financial impact on the voters, then those rules and regulations should have to go before the state legislature, and the state legislature should have to actually do their jobs and consider those rules and regulations and vote on them. The only people who oppose this are the unelected bureaucrats, to be very clear. But unelected bureaucrats have a lot of power, not only because they've been granted a lot of power by our courts and by the legislatures themselves, but also because they get to lobby on your dime. That's right, it's called taxpayer-funded lobbying. So you pay their salaries, they go to work for you, and yet they spend their time going and lobbying governors and state officials so that they tend to consider their interest above yours. And that's why you see people like Josh Stein in the Democrat Party vetoing this legislation, despite the fact that Democrats have run around for the past 5 years claiming that democracy is under siege and they have to save it. We've never actually lived in a straight democracy. We live in a constitutional republic that's supposed to have democratic processes in place, one of those being that you elect the people who make the laws you live under. And yet he refused to restore that democratic process in his state because he cares more about bureaucrats and the money he's going to get from them than he does the will of the people. And the same thing is true of Republican Mike DeWine in Ohio, who has always been considered a rhino, but is showing in his last days who his priorities actually are. Contrast that with Vivek Ramaswamy, who's been very vocally in favor of the REINS Act, and I think has his thumb much more on the pulse of where the base actually is. So don't be fooled. Bipartisanship is rarely a good thing. And rest assured, both the Democrats and Republicans don't actually care that much about what you think.